Hey everybody, welcome back to oh god, what are you watching? My name is Cody Lang. My pronouns are they them. I have a new guest now and I will let them introduce themselves. Hey.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Tom Gibbs. My pronouns are he, him. How you doing down in Georgia?
It's really fucking hot. I hate it. But I'm surviving a bit. I definitely I miss the cold of New York, and that's kind of it. And then the movie theaters, but that's fine. Is it really hot there?
It's like mid 70s right now. It's threatening to thunderstorm like any minute.
Yeah, we
Which,
had that a second ago.
oh really?
Yeah, and then it just didn't rain. We just heard like over everything, and then nothing happened. But anyways, what's the rumpus, Tom? Sorry, I just really wanted to say that because they kept saying it every fucking time. And Miller's Crossing, which we're going to be talking about today, along with Stalker, which Miller's Crossing is by the Coen brothers, directed by Joel Coen, written by both of them, Ethan and Joel Coen, and then Andre Tarkovsky directed Stalker and wrote it and whatnot, based off of the book Roadside Picnic. But yeah, we're going to talk about Miller's Crossing first. But first, I wanted to ask you a few questions just about your film going experiences in general. Do you have any like favorite directors that you really enjoy or kind of champion for by any chance?
Coen brothers actually as a big one. I'm pretty sure that's why when you asked me what films I would want to talk about if I came on
Yeah.
to the show, that I think it was Miller's Crossing was like one of the few that you hadn't seen.
Yeah.
Like, well, how can you be, a Coen Brothers fan and not see Miller's Crossing? Because it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And no, it's not my like absolute favorite of
Mhm.
them, but it's pretty high up there. I think it's just really well done.
Okay.
So
And
definitely Coen Brothers. I used to have some more directors that I championed, and I've since cooled on. I
it
know that
happens.
you have your disparaging of Wes Anderson. I used to like Wes Anderson more until a certain point, and now I haven't really like done a lot for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like I don't dislike him. I don't care for his movies. I think he puts a lot of effort into them, and I think it's magnificent the stuff that he actually accomplishes. But watching it for me is like stabbing myself in the face. I'm always like, no, I don't like this. And I've watched several, and I enjoyed Moonrise Kingdom for the most part, and like The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou. But
I love The Life Aquatic.
yeah, it was fun. I watched, and there was like moments I really enjoyed. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that actually, the Wes Anderson leads me to what's his name? The Lobster.
Oh, Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yes, Yorgos Lanthimos. They
Yeah.
both have that sort of extremely absurd situation
Yeah.
is played so deathly serious in the acting,
Yeah. And
and I that just it always gets me in the end.
yeah, and that's what I like about Yorgos Lanthimos. And I think it's because like I like how incredibly dark he goes. And that's why it's funny to me because it kind of because it seems like both of them were inspired by like Robert Bresson, who's very famous for doing having his actors kind of like a lot of non-actors and not really emoting. It's more of just like being there and delivering it without any kind of like sense of life in them. And while that's used to like seriousness in his movies, which I don't like his stuff, which you think I should because it's also Andre Tarkovsky's favorite director, but I'm like, I don't get it. And I've seen many of his movies by now, and I'm still like, but with Yorgos and like Wes, they do use it to a comedic effect, and I think it works better because it is so absurd the approach to that. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like the disparity, the dichotomy of it. It cracks
Yeah.
me up, but
I was gonna ask, like, is there any like movie that's possibly come out this year that you've seen or that you like enjoyed a lot or anything, or even something that you've seen recently that you like, I guess, were affected by in some way or another?
right as I got sick, of course, which might have affected it a little bit. But I just saw Memoria
Oh,
and I didn't care
yes.
for it. I didn't care
I
for it.
got I got the director Peach Pong on my on my shirt right now.
Wonderful. I love
Yeah.
that.
I
But
understand. It's a very strange kind of approach, especially if you're not familiar with his work. It's incredibly fucking jarring. So
yeah,
and it's totally understandable.
now, that we talked about a little bit more, and I, not to get too derailed, I
Yeah.
guess, about a film that we're not supposed to be talking about at a
Yeah.
moment, but I, found out that it was more about like vibe, that he's really building this, tends to build this, I don't know how else to put it, vibe, like an atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
love movies with a lot of atmosphere, but it's different. It's something you're supposed to really like sit in and take on, to the point where it's like, yeah, it's boring. Go to sleep.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
and I'm like,
that's kind of like Tarkovsky too, because even in one, I think I can't remember if it's either Stalker or Solaris, which I saw last night at the plaza down here. But there's similar scenes where, and we'll get to it later more, but like where they're, on the rail car, and it's just like filming the back of their heads while they're going along and stuff. In
yeah,
Solaris, they do that, and it's more of just like he ended up saying like, oh, I put that kind of like transition in there, so like the people who were not going to be on board with what I'm doing, they'll fall asleep or at least leave the theater before all the action starts. So
I
I'm
love
like, that's great. And he was,
gotta start slow so people can
yeah,
get out of there if they were in the wrong plate. Like,
exactly. So that's good.
how serious he was about that.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Miller's Crossing.
So Miller's Crossing is the Coen brothers' 1920s 30s style Irish gangster movie. It's basically their version of Coppola and Scorsese a little bit, as far as the subject matter goes.
Yeah.
Um, and it's wonderful. It's I don't know that, there's a lot of talk about the Coen brothers do a lot of subversion of genre. I don't really find that they subvert the mobster movie genre too much in this. There's a couple things in it that are maybe not touched upon so much in that kind of a movie, but I don't know. They play it pretty straightforward as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. It's not as so much turned on its head like, for instance, The Big Lebowski,
Yeah.
where it's this buffoon, stoner, but it's really a noir detective story.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
part, it's just
Yeah.
he's an idiot, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and doesn't care about the case really. He's just like, all right, man, whatever. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that one too.
The Big Lebowski, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's about it focuses mostly on the consigliere, or the right hand man, best friend
Yeah.
of the uh, nameless city that is New Orleans, but not.
Yeah.
That's controlled by this one Irish mob boss. He's the character in question is played by Gabriel Byrne, who's wonderfully cold as ice to it, and I love it.
So attractive in this movie. I was
Yeah,
like,
he's the kind of man I wish I looked like.
well,
Like,
yeah.
boring and dark.
Well, I
Like,
just love that his name was Tom too, and then you got me to watch it.
yeah.
I was like, oh, Tom must love this guy. That's great.
I'd actually
Uh,
forgotten. I actually forgot that his
yeah.
name was Tom, but
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, Tom is the right hand man slash best friend of the Irish mob boss.
Albert Finney.
Albert Finney, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great in it.
All the performances. It's one
Yeah.
reason why the movie is so excellent, is that the performances are really great across.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
And Gabriel Byrne's particularly excellent to just really anchor the whole thing down. But everybody's fantastic as they orbiting around. But he is present when a fellow Irish mob boss, who's a little bit under, wants permission to kill a bookie that is sort of ostensibly under the purview of the Irish boss, Albert Finney. But he denies it because he's sleeping with the bookie's sister. Well, Tom is also sleeping with the bookie's sister, and he's like, you need to let them just kill him. Like, just, what are you doing? You're gonna have problems for us, for yourself, for everyone.
Well, that's the thing, is like there's so many like inner workings in between all of this, and Gabriel Byrne is kind of like the puppet master, but like everyone kind of like, I guess, doesn't really expect it from him. But even though there's like some like other people that are like, no, this guy, you can't trust him, but he's like, and then he turns the tables on them so quickly that like there's always something happening. There's always drama. There's always some kind of like betrayal, and everyone's lying. But yeah, it does have a thing where they're trying to get rid of him, and then
Oh, I
he
remember now. Yeah,
yes,
it's because it does get convoluted, but
yeah,
it's never like Tom's machinations. Like he
yeah,
doesn't really have any.
yeah,
He's just like trying to stay ahead of the game,
yeah.
spinning around him. But he's the best of them all. Of like
Mhm.
exactly like the sort of like Machiavellian sort of like twists and turns
Yeah,
on everybody. But it is another local little mob underling who is like friends with the bookie. He wants to get even better with the mob boss, with Albert Finney, that Gabriel Byrne works for. Tom is trying to convince Albert Finney that just forget your girlfriend that I'm also sleeping with.
yeah,
Let them fucking have this guy. Like
yeah,
it's fine. And so he like reveals, he like comes clean. He's like, she's terrible. She's playing you to keep her brother alive.
yeah.
And I know that she's terrible because she's sleeping with me. Isn't that fucked up?
I know. I was really surprised when he like revealed that and was just like, I would know. And it's like dead
Yeah,
silence. He's like, why would you know? Basically, he's like, because I've been fucking her. Like, yeah, it's really like uncomfortable. And then he like beats the shit out of him out of the
yeah.
office down the steps. I was like, that's great.
And that's one of those things I like about his character too, is that he's not tough. He's
Albert Finney
really
or
quick.
Tom?
Gabriel Byrne's character.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah.
He's really quick, but he's
Mhm.
not tough. He's
No.
not like running around because there's a little bit of that like
The only time he really shows that is with against the woman, of course. And you know, because she's kind of like sly and sneaky as well, and he knows it. But he also has a deep affection for her. Um, yeah, it's just strange. Also, I just watched this, like I just finished watching this like an hour ago, if that. So it's all like in my head right now. But
yeah.
the Italian, okay, so like the Irish mob and the Italian mob have been like coinciding for a little bit. And then because of this whole bookie situation, that's when things start getting thrown off completely.
But yeah, Tom is like, you just need to cut it loose. She's terrible. Don't be, trying to keep her brother alive just for her sake.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, how dare you betray me by sleeping with the woman I'm in love with? Kicks him out, which is bad for Tom. He needs money because he is in debt to another bookie.
Yeah.
Because he's like addicted to horse races and
Yeah.
gambling.
There was not much to do because it was the prohibition. So, you know, a lot of times they had to do something else, another vice besides alcohol, even though you could see a lot of like places like speakeasy sort of situations being like busted by the crooked cops. Of course, the cops were crooked because they are always. So, yeah. And then they were all like tied in with whichever mob boss was in charge at the time because the power shifts a lot throughout
Yeah.
the film too and stuff.
And it's
Especially
really ridiculous too.
the scene when Albert Finney gets attacked like in his house.
Assassination attempt, yeah,
Yeah,
is incredible.
it's great. Yeah.
No one ever needs to reload, and they make a point of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not action movie hand wavy. It's
Mhm.
like he just never stops.
Yeah.
Finding that
And
Tom and
he's so straight faced like the entire time too, where he's just like he sees the smoke from the person who got assassinated like below in his house. He sees
yeah.
the smoke from like the cigarette lighting the paper and it comes through the floorboards. He's like, shit, they're coming in. And there's two guys with guns and he has his like little pistol or whatever and like hides and like and then jumps out the window, gets a gun, shoots the guy in the window, which is the most dramatic death scene I've ever seen. Where he's like,
He goes on forever.
like,
Yeah,
absurd.
Canny Boy. Like,
Yeah,
it's well, it's the Coen brothers, and they always have that. Like, I think this is one of the lesser absurd ones that
yeah,
they have.
yeah,
It's still got that something, that like
yeah,
joie de vivre that they have, where
yeah,
it's just absurd enough to be funny,
yeah.
but it's not like coming off as a comedy. It's not like removing you from the pace.
Yeah.
They're just excellent. They just are
And
really good
yeah,
writers.
it helps because it's like the characters are, you know, for the most part in their films and stuff, they can be like, they're very, like you said, like the one guy like choose the scenery. It's like a lot of the characters in the films are like that. Like they very much are grounded in like this very bold identity and they make it known like through each thing. And I was talking to I watched Inside Llewyn Davis, another Coen Brothers movie with some other people recently. Yeah, so do I. That's my favorite. And I watched it with some people and then we were talking afterwards and some people really loved it and some people were like meh. And the one person was like did not like it, and we were talking about just how some of the characters can come off as like caricatures almost. So it's just like it depends on if you like, can buy into that, I guess. But this one didn't go so far as I think some of their later films have done, like even in like Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Big Lebowski, but those lean more into comedy than this one did. There were like some like um like clever moments, but nothing like super like laugh out loud ridiculous that I think they kind
Yeah.
of went into a little bit more in their like later in their career and stuff. But
And especially
I liked this.
the
Yeah.
quick-wittedness also is acknowledged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like only certain characters are, and then they're always,
Yeah.
Dane is like, oh, you're so smart, always
Yeah.
so smart, like,
And I see, and it sucks because that guy was the most intimidating, and he was like the but there was something about him where I liked him because he was kind of on to Tom the entire time. Like
yeah,
from the moment he like steps on screen, he's like, "You bastard!" Like, and then you find out like later that him and Steve Buscemi's character, they were like had some kind of like love affair going on with the two of them. Which because there was like a moment when Steve Buscemi comes in and he's all like, like immediately
it's
rattling
one
shit up.
scene, he just like it's
Yeah.
it sticks out because he's such a
Yeah.
like, yeah. Everybody knows that Mink,
Those.
name,
Oh
Steve,
yeah, Mink. Yeah.
and the Dane are lovers. Everybody
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where everyone's like, "You're friends,"
He's a little light in the loafers. Yeah.
Tom is telling Mink that because Mink is like, "Ooh, I got a friend, Bernie, who's the bookie, the John Turturro, who's fantastic in this."
He's such a Weasley little shithead. I
He-
would have shot him in the woods. I was like, "You're gonna regret this." I was like, "This guy cannot be trusted. He's not even crying. He's just wailing just to save himself." Sorry,
Oh
I was like, "Kill his ass."
He's such a weasel. He's fantastic in it.
Yeah, he's great.
It's Mink asking Tom to get Bernie, John Turturro's character, in better with Albert Finney's character.
Okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, he's my friend,"
Yeah.
And Tom's like, "Ain't you already got a friend, the Dane?" And he's like, "Well, I can have more than one friend, and he don't got to know anything." He's like, "I don't think that this is good for you because I don't think that the Dane is going to appreciate this."
Yeah. So John Turturro's character was like in there, like kind of
there's two
weird little
this movie.
Okay, so I
oh yeah, well, this is why I didn't even until I revisited this earlier today too, and was like, "Oh god, it has a whole nother level."
Oh, that's so
There's
funny.
a
Okay.
heterosexual triangle between Albert Finney's character, Gabriel Byrne's character,
and Marcia Gay Harden.
Fantastic. Verna, Tom, and Leo.
Yeah.
The mob boss, his best friend / right-hand man, and this femme fatale.
Yeah.
Then there's a completely like male homosexual triangle between the Dane, Steve Buscemi's character Mink, the motor mouth, and John Turturro's character Bernie, the bookie.
Yeah, that's so wild.
Yeah, and it's like one of those where everybody knows that Mink and the Dane are together. It's like the Italian mob boss is like, "Yeah, it's the Dane's boy."
Yeah, he does his thing. We don't talk about it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's like no one cares. It's like immaterial that.
Yeah, that's their business. Yeah,
it's like the love triangle itself is like part of the plot. It absolutely is. But the fact that they're gay men, really material.
Like, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, it's like not a big deal. It's so great, and it's interesting because
for 1990 too. Like
and it's weird because there's not actually a like sex scene. There is a moment when the characters have sex, but it's one of those things where it's like goes to the window and you hear them like and like so like you don't even get like this heterosexual love scene. You don't get any kind of like actual love scene. It's still just about like what's actually happening and like the inner workings and stuff, which I thought was interesting, and trying to follow just like because there was like a bunch of names and I was like, I know this is immediately I gotta fucking pay attention to these characters' names, which I am terrible at when it comes to movies. So like I hate following character names because that's never like something where I'm like, okay, here we go. So like with this, I was like, I know they're gonna do this. I know the Coen brothers. I know how they try to like have these like intricate little things. So I was like, here we go. And I also didn't know it was going to be like more film noir, but it was like their twist on it, and they've done it before. So I like their approach to that because they do make it interesting with their characters being so entertaining. So yeah. So who killed Mink in the woods? Who was that? I forget.
Ernie did. John Turturro.
Oh yes, because he was because after he was let go.
That's how he gets so close to him, because they were already hooking up
Yeah.
behind the Dane's back. And so he's such a rat bastard
Yeah.
that cast off, whatever, he murders Mink, takes his body out into the woods to serve as his own body, as far as the Italians are concerned.
Yeah.
Which is what gets Tom into trouble, that he was supposed to kill this guy when he goes over to the Italian side after being summarily dismissed by his own Irish mob for sleeping with his boss's girlfriend, basically. Boss / best friend's girlfriend. And he's like, I need money. So he goes to the Italian side, and they're like, well, kill the bookie that I wanted to kill. That's going to be your proof of loyalty.
Yeah.
Tom takes him out in the woods. Can't go through with it.
I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed with the henchman, because I was like, how could you not go and make sure that he got this done? Like, I was I know, and that was what was funny, because there was that part where
guy's name is Tic Tac, because he's missing teeth.
Like, oh yeah. And they have the tall guy who was in Dumber and Dumber, and he's like the other, like, just like body guy. And there's the scene where he gets smacked across the face with the chair, and then he like goes away and then brings a smaller guy in to kick his ass or whatever. And I was like, that's just fucking great. Because I was like, oh, this guy's fucking terrifying. But literally like one swipe, and he was like, why'd you do that? I just thought that was so funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And then he grovels and gets out of it. And that's when he's like, hey, you should have killed me.
Yeah.
I'll blackmail you instead. Which, Tom's like, God damn it. Like,
well, especially with his cockiness when he first broke into Tom's house, which I don't know why he just keeps breaking into Tom's house and just like is in there. And I'm like, why are you letting this motherfucker go in? I know you're fucking his sister, but Jesus Christ. And he's in there like, haha, I can do whatever I want. I'm a piece of shit. And then later is like asking for his life to be saved. And I'm like, this guy is a piece of shit. Like I think he's proved it more than enough times. And I was like, I know Tom probably doesn't want to get involved with like the murder side of it, but is it ever stated that Tom had actually, killed someone before?
I'd say the opposite.
Okay, so he's never done it.
Yeah, he's not.
Okay,
yeah, he's
so
never
that was
anybody. He never had to.
Yeah, so that was like his
advisor. Like that's
his hesitance to do that.
Drinking and glowering behind the mob boss. Like,
well,
that's what he had to do.
He had ethics. That was the whole monologue in the beginning too, of like, like ethics, and then at the end you were like, because John Turturro, which we know, spoilers if you haven't noticed, at the end when he kind of has the two of them kill each other, like he frames it. Yeah, frames it as such, and then thinks like, oh, him and John Turturro, those two characters they're set, they're straight, they don't have anything against each other anymore, even though John Turturro was gonna like blackmail him. And then he's like, why are you gonna kill me now? And he's like, well, I mean, you're still a piece of shit. He's like, look into your heart, in which he like had told him the first time he let him go, and then, which annoyed me because the second time they met up, after he let him go, he was just like, well, now I have you like in my hands. And then he was just like, and if you were gonna like try to kill me or something again now, I'd just like shed a few tears and you'd let me go again. And then he tries to pull that same fucking move at the end, and it's just like, but you look into your heart, and he's just like, what heart? And then
I know it's great.
Like, this could have been avoided had you done it in the woods. So it's like, yeah, but at least he came out on top, so that's fine.
I got pointed out on this one, the Coens love a good metaphor. And there's Tom is he describes that dream to Verna towards the beginning.
Okay.
When he first wakes up from gambling, he's missing his hat.
And
he goes over to her apartment to get it back. And he tells her he has this dream where he's like, I was out in the woods and I was running around and my hat got blown off. And she's like, and then you chased it and it took forever. And then when you finally found it, it was something other than a hat, right? And he's like, no, I didn't chase it. It was still just a hat. And no, I didn't chase it, because only a fool gets caught chasing his hat.
Yeah.
Spends the entire movie chasing his hat.
Yeah.
Because she takes it and it's kind of like, well, he's so caught up in her for some reason.
Yeah.
And then he spends a lot of the movie getting his hat knocked off, trying to get it back, all this crap. And it's not until the end where he's kind of like, I'm done. I'm done with everybody and all of this game. And I'm
Yeah.
walking away, and they make a point that he puts his hat on his head and like adjusts it just
Like,
so. And that's like the last shot of it is like, and you know, the first shot is his hat too, like on the
yeah.
ground.
Just
And it's just this whole like,
yeah.
chasing his hat the whole time.
That's what I
Got
was.
it, and they got away from him, and he,
Yeah, and I loved how cold he was to Leo at the end, where Leo's like, "Hey, I'd really like you back, and like, I want to, I want things to be okay with us." Kind of like, apologizes basically. It's just like, "Oh, everything's cool with us. Things are great. I forgive you." And he's like, I don't want that. I didn't
yeah,
ask that from you. I'm done." Like, and then he's like, "Oh, I want you back, please." He's like, "No."
he
And then I
just
was like,
like, and
yeah,
he's done. Like,
I know. I was like, "Oh, that's so strange." But I was also like, I mean, it's not like he didn't already fuck the woman that he was with, but wasn't Leo, didn't he kind of have this woman hostage from some other past situation? Like he like forced her to have this relationship with him, because that was something that he brought up earlier, that it was that Tom brought up, where it's like she doesn't even like you because she's just with you because you make her be with you, or some shit that happened, I guess, previously.
I think
um
it's because of her brother.
yeah, okay,
A lot of like, her brother wants in on the Irish game. He wants to be more important in the Irish game.
yeah,
Um, he's protected because she's dating Leo. And that's what Tom's trying to tell him is like, she's just using you to solidify her brother's position.
yeah.
And I know because she's with me. Like,
And that was so funny. He talked so much shit about her and then would just run back to her. And I'm like,
yeah, because he was caught up in her too. Like, that was.
well, that was, you could see there, like, especially in, okay, first of all, I wrote this down because I thought it was ridiculous. Every room is huge. Why is his apartment has a fucking ballroom for a dining room? Like walking across to the front door, I was like, this is ridiculous. And then in her, like, I don't even know what it was. It was her and a bunch of women in the like powder room or whatever.
Yeah.
Gigantic. And which kind of reminded me of what's it, the thief, the cook, and the wife's lover, or whatever the hell it's called. I forgot. Have you seen that?
No.
It's really fucking weird. I recommend it. It has Michael Gambon in it from Harry Potter, who played Dumbledore. But it's like really intense and like gross and stuff. But the rooms are fucking huge and like insane. And it reminded me of that a lot, which was interesting. But when they have that little moment in that room, I was like, do they actually love each other, or is this just full blown passion? Are they like is this just like intensely sexual and they don't really know how to quit each other in that way? Because it doesn't seem like he really likes her. And vice versa. They're just like, oh God, I guess we'll have sex again. Like, and
It
I
is.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
And they keep meeting up and doing it, where they're just like, oh, and then she tries to call the police on him. And then it's like, okay, fix me a drink, we'll have sex. And it's literally just that. And I'm like, and I thought there was, and I also, how he was like saying that she was possibly involved with killing some people and trying to pin stuff on her because he didn't trust her. And I expected her to be, I guess, a little bit more involved. And there's that moment where she has the gun up against his head, where she's like, it looks like she might actually have been and might actually try to kill him, but then she was just like, ah, and, goes off on her like emotions, I guess. And then
Emotions.
I don't know, oh, this love that I have. Yeah, it was just,
I think
yeah,
it's really spelled out like, yeah. But I think it speaks to some of the like, this part of the game,
yeah,
everybody's underhanded, everybody's a piece of shit. Like,
yeah. And that's what I liked, is that there was like it seemed like it was a love story, but it wasn't really. It was more of just like this like deeply sexual and like infatuation with each other, but it was never actually like full-blown love, because he was talking shit about her the entire time. And she kind of was just like fucking the boss the whole time, didn't really want to leave him, and was just like, meh. And I just thought that was so interesting, and how she also proposes to Leo, the mob boss, at the end, where
yeah.
like they end up like together. And I was just like, so she just goes back to him because he's the one in power, I guess. And I think that might be just what she's maybe looking for a sense of like security or some shit. But yeah.
And I think some of it might be to spite Tom too, because he does in the end shoot Bernie.
Yeah, and she knew that, right? I mean, she seems pissed, but I feel like she would have been More pissed?
I don't know. See, I think that's part of why he in the end is like, goodbye.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
everyone
I don't want it any part of this shit anymore.
you know,
Yeah.
like, fuck all of this.
Y'all's messy ass drama.
There's no point to any of it. It's
Yeah.
all just like constantly trusting people, but not really because you know they're gonna fuck you, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I gotta fuck them. That's just how
Yeah.
this goes.
Also, that little thing that Bernie, is that his name?
John Turturro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His character dropping where he was just like, oh yeah, my sister, she fucks everybody. She even tried to fuck me. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
god. I was like, wow, she has no fucking
There's a
limit.
little bit of that hints also to John Turturro's character being gay, is that he's like, she had this weird notion that she was gonna try to save me from my
Oh yeah.
friends, which is like,
Okay.
we only hear about his friend being Mink.
Yeah.
They were like fucking.
Yeah.
So it's like he insinuates that she tried to engage in a little
Yeah.
incest
Yeah.
like
Just to get the gay away.
not to be gay. It's like, yeah, everybody's so fucked up and like half evil, and
That's awful.
but it like kind of starts. They really establish at the beginning with the Italian mob boss's little speech where he's like, it's about ethics.
Yeah.
I fix a game. You're not supposed to tell people about that. I
Yeah.
fix the game. Like, it's this whole like honor among thieves kind of thing where it's like, I'm gonna do fucked up shit and you're gonna do fucked up shit, but we have an understanding.
Yeah, it's okay.
Or that's like when the bookie that Tom owes money to, he sends goons to beat him up.
Oh yeah, that was a sweet scene to me. I thought it was cute.
He's like, he likes you. He told us not to break anything.
Yeah, he's like, have a good one after he punches the shit out of him.
Yeah, tell him no hard feelings. He's like, oh,
He's
hell.
like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. I was like, oh, they have an understanding. They get it.
Yeah, the whole thing is like,
it's just business.
Yeah, there's always this understanding.
I loved just quickly the Dane when he goes into the room with what Marcia Gay Harden's character, what's her name?
Verna, yeah.
Verna, yeah, when he goes into like her room and then like the two like goons come in and he like kills them, but then he's like, what's going on with I think Leo at the time, and then the guy's like, why, you're just gonna kill me? He's like, no. I was like, no, because if you tell me something wrong, I won't be able to come and make you pay for it. So the guy's like, okay, and then he's like, well, I trust you. All right, boom, it kills him. I was like, that's why he was my favorite character, because I feel like
I know you never kill me.
I never knew what was going on.
If you tell me and I find out you're lying, I won't get to kill you later.
Yeah, it's like that's
he's like terrifying.
Yeah, and then she like runs out the window, and I was like, okay, good. Even though I was like,
the biggest, baddest guy is in a 1990 movie, movie, is gay, and nothing about being gay has anything to do with why he's scary. He's just
and
scary.
He chooses Steve Buscemi to fuck with. I was like, all right. Yeah, I don't know.
He's big and evil and really good shot. He like lines up that guy who runs out the door and shoots him through the wall.
Oh yeah, through the wall. That was good. Did you see his body drop? I was like, that's fantastic.
He does like cool shit. Yeah, it's great.
When was the first time you watched this, by the way?
Years and years and years and years and years ago. My friend and I were he was really getting into the whole like philosophy of director chasing, and then it was like Coen Brothers, so we both were starting to go through a lot of the Coen Brothers library, and so it was just on the list to
What
watch.
is your favorite Coen Brothers?
I think I still have to say it's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Okay, yeah, that's great.
It's so fun. It's just infinitely quotable.
Yeah,
it just, I don't know, I love it. But I really like that. I really like Barton Fink.
I still haven't seen that. I need to watch that.
You haven't seen Barton Fink?
No, and I know it has to do with like the movie industry and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, he's a writer. Yeah, it's John Turturro.
Yeah. I started it one time, but I was like really high at night, and I was just like, I can't do this. I was like, I need to go to sleep.
I really like it more than Miller's Crossing, frankly.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun fact, they wrote Miller's Crossing, and in the middle of it, they kind of got stuck.
Yeah.
They were like, well, fuck it. Let's just shelve it for now. Okay. And they wrote Barton Fink and then came back to Miller's Crossing and were able to like do it.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
Barton
awesome.
Fink actually helped, and Barton Fink does a lot to do about writer's block. So it
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like the two coincide in
Yeah.
this weird meta,
Okay.
level. It's
I'll have
really
to watch it. I'll have to watch it soon because every time I like watch a Coen Brothers movie, well, not every time, but usually I'm like, I at least know this is going to be entertaining, like
well,
because I'll at least be on board with it.
we
I
haven't
don't
done that
really.
one yet. I love Inside Llewyn Davis.
I love Inside Llewyn Davis.
Burn
Yeah.
After Reading, I didn't appreciate the first time as much. I thought it paled in comparison to Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing,
Yeah.
and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But
I need to.
subsequent watches, I can take it on its own terms, and I'm like,
I
oh,
need to try it again because I watched it once and I fucking hated it. I
yeah, I
hated
was
it
right.
so much.
Like, I don't. This is not as good, but
Yeah.
just kind of like set it all aside, your
Mhm.
expectations of what you might think Coen Brothers should do for you or
Yeah.
whatever, and just take it on its own terms, and
Yeah.
you just have a really fun time with Frances McDormand. Brad Pitt is hysterical in it. Fucking
I just always imagine him doing his like
yeah,
little
he's
dance.
hysterical in it, man.
Ridiculous. Okay.
It's definitely not Brad Pitt, the typical Brad Pitt role.
Yeah.
John fucking Malkovich is hysterical.
See, he annoyed the shit out of me in that movie.
He
I hate the way he says fuck, where he just fuck. Like he like over enunciates it like he's on stage, and I'm always just like, girl. Sorry, I don't know. Okay, let's any last words on Miller's Crossing? I didn't realize how long we were talking about it, but
no, I don't think so. I just it's a really fun movie. It's really excellent. All the performances are just solid across the board.
Yeah.
Coen Brothers are excellent at casting. They're definitely, in that pantheon of directors or however you want to call it that reuse people a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, I like them. I like what they can do. And they reuse them in a lot of different ways, which is really fantastic. You know, you're not going to see, you'll see the same actor several times, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
With maybe the sole exception of John Goodman, who's always kind of this weird, like,
Yeah.
kind of fucked up, kind of like,
Yeah.
like really between Barton Fink, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and Llewyn Davis.
Yeah.
This weird, like, always kind of thing, and it's fantastic.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching part 1 of Oh God, What Are You Watching? With me and Tom Gibbs. The next video will also be with Tom Gibbs, and we will be talking about Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky, which is my personal favorite film. And I wanted to split it up just so we could have enough time to talk about each film in depth. So please come back for the next video, and thank you so much.